What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and in this week's video we will be attempting to solve the most annoying task in woodworking history, which is trying to clean out the bag on your dust collector. So I finally broke down and bought the Oneida Dust Separator, and I do have a DIY separator on the lid of my trash can, but it doesn't work well enough. So in this video I'll show you how to install this, and we'll also give it a test run at the very end of this to see how it works. Okay, so just real quick on how I have this set up. So this Y here is the input. This comes from the table saw or the joiner or the planer. This comes from the miter saw. Goes into the trash can, all of the heavy stuff falls down to the bottom, and then the lighter particles in the air will come up through this one and go from the trash can into the dust collector there. So these two pieces here are the separator. This is just a really cheap separator. I think this was 20 bucks, and it fits into the trash can lid. And all it is two pieces that come out like that make kind of a cyclone. So you can see down in here, there actually is some swirling action. And this setup does work pretty well for 20 bucks. But when the trash can gets too full and I don't notice it, it pulls everything from the top into the bag. So you can see that the bag is pretty full right now. So before we install the separator, we first need to clean out the bag, the filter, and empty the bin. And cleaning the filter and emptying the bag is the reason that I bought this separator, because this task takes forever and it's just a hassle to have to take everything apart and go through all these steps. The easiest way that I've found to clean out the canister filter is to just take it somewhere outside, far away from everything, and use a leaf blower or some type of air hose to blow all the dust out from the outside of the filter, which will force it out the opening. The original filter that was on this dust collector was a 5 micron bag, and I replaced it with this MERV 15 canister because anything that's smaller than 5 microns will go right through that bag and out into the air close to where you could be standing. Once the filter was cleaned out, it was time to empty the bag. Now you can see here that I'm headed over to my neighbor's yard so I can dump it in their yard rather than mine. Just kidding, of course, this is my yard. Now if you're wondering why I dumped this outside, I'll let Mr. Gilmore explain that.
And then I placed it in the woods because it's made of wood, and I just thought he should be with his family.
Anyway, after the bag was cleaned out, obviously it needs reattached to the dust collector. Now I'm making this look a whole lot easier than it actually is in person. It's not truly that bad, but a lot of times the bag falls down or the metal strap that you have falls off halfway after you've got it on there, and then you have to start all over. So the cyclone comes with these two adapter pieces, which I believe allows you to use 4-inch or 5-inch flex hose, and I'm using 4-inch flex hose, so if you already have that, it'll work for you as well. Now, one thing that I thought was kind of strange, and maybe I overlooked it, but this did not come with a template. So I measured the diameter of the circle, and I found a smoke detector on the wall that was about the same diameter. Just traced the outline that, and then I cut out a circle with the jigsaw. All of this is in the instruction booklet that I showed at the beginning of this video, but honestly, you really don't even need the instruction booklet. This is very simple, and as long as you have something to cut out the inner circle and something to drill these holes here, this can be done in no time. Before we can put this on the lid, we have to attach the gasket to the underside to prevent any air leaks. And then the separator itself can just be bolted to the lid of whatever you're using the screws and hardware that's provided. And as far as the actual assembly goes, that's pretty much it. Now all we have to do is hook the hoses and the pipe up, and this thing will be ready to go. So I wanted to attach pipes to the wall and have this run to help get the flex hose up off of the floor and out of the way. I left the main configuration of the flex hose exactly the same as I had before, and I'll probably need to adjust this a little bit in the future, but I just wanted to test it out. So I made a makeshift hook, and here is a look at everything. If that's not professional, I don't know what is. So what good is a video on this thing if we aren't even going to test it out? So this stack of boards here is rough cut red oak, and I'm surface planing each side to smooth the boards out. I've got just over 80 board feet, and I felt like this was enough to at least get a good test run with this thing. Here's the Y where I have it separated to go to the miter saw, and you can see the chips coming through, so it is collecting all the chips. Now at the bottom of that, where the blast gate is, you can see that they're piling up, but whenever the board was finished feeding through, it did suck all those chips up off of the blast gate. Here's a quick peek into the trash can when we are about halfway through, and I did this just to make sure that all the chips were going into the trash can and not somehow into my wall or ceiling or getting stuck in the separator. Okay, so just a couple things real quick before we go look and see what's in the trash can. First of all, the planer performed awesome. Really happy with it. Everything is great on it so far. Here's a look at some of the grain on the oak. This is red oak, and this stuff just looks awesome after it's been planed and cleaned up. And the other thing I want to mention, you can see that there's a little bit of dust and chips on the planer and a little bit on the floor too, but not a whole lot. So that's the thing I want to point out, and I'm not necessarily for the cyclone, but for just a basic dust collector, I feel like that's not bad at all. And here's what's in the trash can. So I'd probably give that maybe 2/3 full. A lot of this is really small chips, and a lot of it's very fine too. There's a bunch of fine dust on the sides. So it looks like it did a good job of collecting everything in here. Now let's take a look at what's in the bag. All right, and here's the bag, and you can see there's pretty well nothing whatsoever. Maybe some fine particles at the very bottom, but overall very minimal dust in here. So one last thing that I did, and this is actually a failed attempt because this did not work, but I'm trying to ground everything out here. So if you know what I did wrong, please mention it in the comments so that I can get this corrected. But I put some steel screws into the PVC pipe and wrapped bare copper wire around those screws and attached the wire to the frame of the dust collector. This was attempting to ground all the static out, but when I took the separator apart, I still got a little zap. So if you know what I did wrong, like I mentioned, please let me know in the comments. So as far as the installation, that'll wrap it up for this one. So is this thing worth it? Well, I can't say for sure because I've only used it the one time, but I'm really hopeful that it will be. So if this can keep me from changing the bag on the dust collector so frequently, then it's definitely worth it in my opinion. So you'll see this thing a lot in my upcoming videos, and speaking of upcoming videos, I've got a lot more content coming. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. So drop a comment below and let me know what you thought of this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and of course, stay tuned for more. And now with this finished up, let's get back to building.